Hold on, LHHATL did say that, KB. The cast trembled. Fans can't believe what's going on behind the scenes, and the producers were rushing. Rashida recently plummeted, according to many people close to the VH1 set, among the most egregious charges in the history of hip-hop and love. According to reports, she claimed that Mendes had gotten Erica Mena pregnant. According to Erica on the streets, it wasn't only rumors. To defend her own man, Kirk, a full-fledged smear campaign was launched. Because of his strange fixation with Mendes's every action, it has been dragged left and right. Right now, chaos is erupting. The blogs now include Yandy's name again, remaining silent, which exacerbated the situation, and Mendes is furious, not amused. People that are close to him say he feels duped, taken by surprise, and repulsed. Since this isn't a simple tabloid misunderstanding, it's a personal matter. It has to do with loyalty. The truth is at issue. It also centers on a guy who watches his character be used in order to divert attention from the crime of others. We're breaking down what really occurred, why Rashida would say such a rash thing, and how this one rumor only revealed a much larger conflict between two houses who previously shared a secret. Keep away from blowing up a dot. Everyone assumed the notion was a prank when it initially surfaced in the group chat. A nasty one. A chaotic love and hip-hop moment that never gets a confessional and fades away before midday. However, it continued to go silently from stylist to stylist and from glam chair to glam chair until it ended itself on Yandy's phone exactly where it shouldn't have. Everything changed at that point. The message was just a few words long. However, the harm is instantaneous. It said girl. They sang Erica Mena pregnant by Mendes's and the one spreading it. RAEDA, Yandin DD. Why did not even immediately answer? She just clenched her jaw, stood up, and gazed at the television. She didn't weep, she didn't yell. She just left the room and went to a quiet corridor to catch her breath. For there was more to this than drama. It was more than just a TV catastrophe. It was a direct blow to her tranquility, her marriage, and the guy she stood up for when everyone else looked down on her. Decisions and the fact that it originated from Rashida, a person she had previously loved and who advocated for genuine love and with lip gloss on, allegiance felt like betrayal. Mindy CS were speaking with producers in another area of the facility. As she approached, she didn't need to express it. Her expression told him everything. He blinked twice when she finally showed him the message. The one thing that broke her heart was then stated. He said, "I knew it was coming. I just didn't think she'd go that far." Turns out, Mendes had seen the strain building already. The atmosphere on set had changed since Kirk's last encounter, ever since he had called out that strange preoccupation. It was purposeful, not simply embarrassing. LHHATL was behaving a little too concerned in his whereabouts, and others were making weird productions and asking sharp questions. Now that the slander campaign had already begun, it all made sense. The weirdest aspect was that they employed Erica Mena to do it. Let's be clear. Erica had been professional and cool to the cast members, not close or messaging every night, but with enough background to keep them apart, but not enough turmoil to get media attention. So where exactly did this pregnant deception originate? Mendes was prepared to overturn the whole glitzy table at that point. You have to be a different kind of evil to play with that kind of rumor, just to protect your man's ego, he remarked bluntly, since that's what it ultimately came to. After Mendes revealed his passion with Kirk on video, he had been dragged for weeks. He was clowned by the internet. The actors were on his side. Scrappy acknowledged that he needed to organize his priorities. Rashida chose to perform damage control, the petty way by igniting a brand new controversy rather than inspecting her boyfriend and asking why he was always observing another man's glow. And for a minute, it was effective. People began murmuring because it was so ridiculous, not because they thought it was true. So organized, so disorganized, and some took that as proof when Erica arrived at the set looking perfect but silent. When people want to accept a falsehood, silence quickly becomes distorted. However, nobody anticipated that Mendes would confront it directly, in front of cameras, with receipts, with anger, and with all of his dignity still intact, not via posts or subs. The incident began at a circular table made of cast iron. It's one of those situations where we should discuss it. Production, like staging when there is tension, becomes too dense to overlook. Mendes, Scrappy, Kirk, Rashida, Yandy, and a few more were invited. It was intended to be about trust, relationships, and handling celebrity as a couple. However, everyone was aware of their true purpose. Minds didn't have to wait long for the lights to come on and the inquiries to begin. He gave Rashida his whole attention. Just eyes locked, no hesitancy, no politeness. I'm going to say this once so it doesn't get twisted, he said. The room became quiet. Stop dragging my wife. Stop lying on my name, and stop using Erica Mena to cover your man's mess. Scrappy turned away. Kirk shuffled in his chair, and LHHATL blinked as if the reality had just hit her. Mendez was not done. However, claiming to have already verified it after hearing from 3 different sources that Rashida was the origin of the pregnancy rumor, he replied, "You sat up and told people I got Erica pregnant, but there were no fans, blogs, cast members, crew, or anyone else who had anything to gain from lying. Even if you are fully aware something is untrue, may you have done it out of concern or fear? Are you afraid?" He said that Kirk's reputation was deteriorating, the story was faltering, and rather than allowing Kirk to take the brunt of the criticism, LHHATL tried to interrupt, saying she never said it. But Mendez stopped her cold. She attempted to generate smoke elsewhere. "Don't lie again," he urged. "You've done enough already. Take a seat with it now." Yandi remained silent, staring at Rashida as if she were seeing a stranger put on her friend's face, until the unexpected turn of events occurred. Nobody anticipated that, so DC took out his phone, opened a message from someone in production 2 weeks before, and showed it to Scrappy. That said that they were speaking. The room was hushed since it was no longer just a rumor about a potential Erica and Mendez art visitor. Scrappy read it, handed it to Jock, who had just arrived late. Mendices leaned back, glanced at Kirk, and muttered, "Sabotage." Rashida was exposed. "You constantly preach about being a man, yet you allow your wife to act that way. You refer to it as love." Kirk didn't answer. What could he say? The harm was done. The falsehood had been sown, and he just stared at the floor. The most absurd thing was that Erica wasn't even in the room yet, but she was on her way. Now the whole cast knew the last piece of the disaster was going to come together after she entered because of what Erica would say next, which would leave everyone stunned. However, for the time being, the table was set. The truth was partially out, and Rashida was sitting there looking regretful, watching a lie. She began to disintegrate more quickly than she could blink, and the room became silent as Erica entered. She looked perfect, and as she walked to her seat, the only sound was the sound of high heels on hardwood, as if someone had hit mute on the radio. She had sharp edges on her glam on 10 dress, of course, but her expression was inscrutable. She simply sat, crossed her legs, and stared without speaking or smiling. It had Mendices, and Yandi remained still as she walked around the room, as if she knew she was entering something that had already begun without her. Kirk looked like he wanted to vanish. LHHATL began to squirm as if she didn't know how to prepare for what was about to happen. And Scrappy stared at Erica and the producers who were acting as if they weren't living for this moment. "You want to tell me why I'm being dragged into a storyline I didn't sign up for?" she said gently, turning to face Mendez at last. Mendez nodded once, saying, "It's neither defensive or aggressive. It's just true, because your name is being used to hide the shame of someone else," he continued. "You want to repeat it to her face, LHHATL," he said, giving her a sharp look. "I said something like, I don't even know what's being said anymore, in an attempt to laugh it off and seem perplexed. The whole situation was blown, disproportionate, but nobody was buying it, especially not Erica." Erica turned her head slow, locked eyes with LHHATL, and said, "You told everyone I was conceived by him." Rashida glanced around as if it was meant to help her. Kirk started to say something, but Erica interrupted him before he could say anything. Don't even try. You guys exploited me for your marital drama a few seasons back, and I didn't say anything when you made me weep." On TV, while Mendez looked surprised for a while, when Erica took out her phone and lowered the volume so that only the front row could hear it, everyone's mouths fell. Even he hadn't heard that bit yet. Although the tone, phrases, and emotion were not quite audible, Rashida's laughter was evident. As she said, "Girl, that would be the gag of the season. What if we told him that Erica's kid may be his?" Yandi would get upset. The clink of a drink could be heard in the background, as if it were a joke or something little. But suddenly, it was everything. Yandi remained still and didn't blink. Rashida went too far. The Mendeses didn't subtweet, reply, or publish anything. However, many close to him said that he was angry for Yandi rather than for himself, said that he thought he had failed by allowing she was caught off guard by something so low, declared that he was done with the phony romance, the cast dinners, and the off-camera friendships, since there was no turning back now. Kirk made an A the next day, tried calling, texting, and even sending a message via one of the producers to arrange a private meeting with Mendez, but Mendez didn't reply. Additionally, He passed Kirk without even glancing at him during that quiet until they reconnected during a group scene. It was more painful than any dispute could have been. It was spun by Rasha, said that manufacturing was to blame, said that they supported the humor, a two-change history, but it was rejected by the internet. She was pulled by fan pages. She was inundated with followers. Remarks that use emojis of snakes. When a woman lies about another woman's womb, particularly to save her own male from being dragged, even brand deals began to discreetly back off. Individuals don't remember how the producers scrambled behind the scenes to determine whether to broadcast the voice message or not, to find out how to edit the mess without seeming to be shielding anybody. Air it all, DC's allegedly instructed them. Since this was ultimately about trust, not merely a phony pregnancy rumor, let the public know who is really acting inappropriately. Reputation, about the covert conflict taking place behind the glamour, and the camera lights, and now that it was all out there, no one could act as though it was only for television any longer. The harm was completed, and this time it was irreversible. Following that dramatic sequence, Rashida was no longer the focus of the cast, crew, or even the admirers observing from the sidelines. Although her face may still be battered and her clothes are still stylish, the atmosphere around her has entirely changed. She changed from being the cool-headed one, the boss chick with a brand, to the one who made up a pregnancy story about another woman to protect her husband's deteriorating reputation, and to make matters worse, she still hadn't yanned. Dwight did not post, yell, or disparage on social media after apologizing. However, if Go Live and air Rashida out, but she didn't have to since Erica had already cleared her, silence could slap. But hers made everyone gasp because they were expecting her to clap back. Name, followed by DC's. He had already revealed enough facts to exclude any possibility of misunderstanding. The streets were speaking, and it wasn't a pleasant conversation. Were becoming even more messy. A producer told a blogger that Rashida had received a warning weeks before not to mention Erica's name in that way, and it seems that a staff member overheard. She reportedly added, "If Meanies wants to come for Kirk, let's see how he handles it." Being the center of some real mess, as she pitched the plot in a production meeting, claiming it would stir things up and get people talking. Before the program ever aired, the statement went viral on social media. Fans entered and began accusing her of being calculating, insecure, and resentful. Many who had previously supported her throughout the Kirk drama were now arguing that she had no right to use someone as a weapon. The outcry was stronger than she had anticipated, and the irony was heavy, given Elsa's notoriety after her own ordeal. During a mic check, Scrappy informed one of the producers that he wasn't comfortable being in scenes with Rashida for a while because he felt she passed a threshold you don't come back from. However, the most painful thing was how the other cast members began to back off. "Girl, I've done some wild *T, but that was low and Bambi." Carly Red, who enjoys a good mess, even said to her hairdresser. Although she remained silent, she unfollowed Rashida, though that following evening, the video became viral. The attention of fans, websites, and Rashida herself. Kirk, however, remained in the background and refrained from openly defending Rashida or going live to address any issues. He was too quiet, and didn't share his typical date night with his partner to divert attention. Mendez wasn't done either, not because he wanted to draw things out, but because people continued approaching him with more and more questions, and many began to wonder whether he felt guilty or humiliated. He learned that Rashida had even gone so far as to propose to producers that they unintentionally mic up Erica and Mendez together in a private moment. More behind-the-scenes tea, anecdotes. Meanies was shocked and said, "That's not reality TV, that's sabotage with a budget." The plan was to capture them calmly conversing off-site, then twist it into something romantic with the correct clip. He wasn't even upset about production if he understood the game, but it hurt to learn that someone he had previously slept with, who called his wife sis, was attempting to make him a scandal. Deep Yandy just nodded as he explained it to her. "This is why we don't have to sit at everyone's table," he said. Before the sit-down, which everyone feared, the trust had been broken, but now it was destroyed. Producers requested that Mendez and Rashida record one more moment together without Kirk or Yandandi, just the two of them in person. Mendesi agreed to perform an eaten scene to settle the situation. Condition, he informed them, "I'm here to let her know what she did won't go unchecked, not to argue." Rashida entered first, and the scenario, which had just 2 seats, 1 camera, and too much unsaid, took place in a quiet lounge after hours. Her expression was tight, not angry, but uneasy, as if she had run out of options for self-defense and realized she was entering a when the mirror was ready to be brought up to her face. Mendez didn't waste time or play games. Instead, he sat down, said, "Why?" Mendez shook his head. But Rashidita said that she didn't intend for things to spiral out of control and that it was only a hypothetical discussion that went awry. "You don't put that on a woman who already has the entire world watching her every move," he remarked, making a joke about pregnancy. Additionally, "Just because your spouse has been acting strangely doesn't mean that you should call me names." Rashida attempted to soften her voice, saying that she didn't anticipate things to blow up this way and that she believed he and Yandi were strong enough to ignore the noise. Mendez then said, "That's the issue. Ellie, you didn't give a damn. If things went awry, Kirk, I'd have done it if it removed the heat." Then he moved forward, his eyes steady, his words quiet. "Let me tell you something. However, the next time you make reference to my wife, myself, or it won't be a sit-down to mend what's wrong in your home, Erica, we'll be shutting down." Rashidita remained silent. She just averted her gaze. Because there was no turning back from what she had done. That quiet spoke it all. Not in this group of people. Not when the harm extended from television to actual life. There were no phony grins, no embraces, and no pledges to continue when the scene concluded. Mendez got to his feet, thanked the team, and left. Just finished, not upset. And that kind of serenity, it's more audible than anger. A dot. The internet blew up once again when the show aired. Erica was commended for her tenacity. Yandandi was commended for remaining elegant. And for hours, Mendez was in the spotlight. He stood for the truth and made sure everyone knew it, not because he yelled or became petty. A mysterious quote was submitted by LHHATL. Something about maturing and learning from errors was spoken the next morning, but it was unsuccessful. The remarks were harsh. Instead of subtitles, they demanded responsibility, and Kirk remained mute. The worst part of all was when according to a VH1 insider leak, the network was thinking about reducing Kirk and Rashida's screen time for the remainder of the season. Producers didn't want to lose momentum due of the negative crowd reaction, but not as a form of punishment. Suddenly, the plot Rashida developed to keep Kirk safe turned into the thing that threatened to destroy them both. Although men in DC remained silent, people close to him said he was preoccupied with his family, his enterprises, ensuring that his tranquility is never again used as a story point by another else. And it was evident from everything that transpired that he could create an impression without shouting. His composure, his stillness, and his reluctance to play foul were more powerful than any rumor could ever be. The mood on site had entirely changed by the time the second block of episodes shooting began. The forced embraces and artificial laughter are all over now. The energy is gone. The strain that remained was sufficient to use a boom mic to slice, in an attempt to lighten the atmosphere and give the impression that things were calming down. The production failed because the cast was unable to let go of the Erica pregnancy rumor. Regardless of how many sequences were filmed in upscale cafes or retail establishments, it revealed something more profound, not because it was still in circulation, how quickly and to what extent Rashidita was prepared to destroy relationships in order to preserve Kirk's reputation. Rumor had it that Kirk had been pressuring producers behind the scenes to refocus attention from the damage and give the boys more vigor. Rashidita had moved into a more impartial position. He recommended a tour for boys to restore the ensemble chemistry. There were certain moments of camaraderie, like a sit-down between him and Scrappy. However, producers did not bite. They observed the supporters' reactions. Furthermore, Kirk and Scrappy weren't fishing at the moment. Mondesi's gradual surgical retaliation followed Rashidita's treachery. The admirers were unrelenting. The comments on Rashida's photos were always filled with lengthy phrases about responsibility, snake emojis, and baby emojis. Even when she attempted to return her attention, two people didn't like her music or her shop. They sought clarification. Honesty was what they want. They wanted her to acknowledge that she had lied and included other people in it. Rashidita, however, would not utter the words aloud. She remarked as she danced around it. She never once said, "I lied about Erica being pregnant by Mendez," but instead said, "We all make mistakes and I've grown from this," maintained the fire. Yand, however, gracefully went back to filming. She arrived, recorded her scenes, and maintained a kind yet detached demeanor. Her tone was stern, yet calm when she gave confessionals. "I don't believe in hating people, but I do," she stated after pausing when a producer asked her whether she would ever forgive Rashida. "Think it's important to recall how individuals move when no one is looking." Fans were thrilled. Within minutes, videos from that incident became viral. People praised her in the comment area, saying she was the only one on the program with true class. The biggest shock, however, was when Erica chose to talk again, but not live. She conducted a thorough interview with a well-known entertainment blog. She explained everything: how she learned of the rumor, how she verified Rashida was responsible, and how Yandi and Mondesi helped her behind the scenes when she may have been publicly shamed. She further said that after that incident, she had thought about quitting the program entirely, but she remained because she wanted to demonstrate other women what it means to stand up for oneself. Then she let go of the bomb, a second voice message that hadn't been broadcast or leaked, she claimed. Rashida said if this hits the blogs, it'll kill two birds, was remarked by another person purportedly associated with Kirk's group. Fans went crazy, so relieve Kirk of some of the burden and remove Yandi from her Wife of the Year title. The response doubled when I attempted to upload her own interview, and that sentence alone became a meme overnight. Tried to present her case, saying that the voice notes were substantially modified and released with malicious purpose, and that things were taken out of context, but it was no longer relevant. Mondesi remained calm, didn't gloat or rub it in, but took one silent gesture that conveyed a loud message. The court of public opinion had made its decision, and they weren't buying any of it. He posted a picture of Yandi and Erica grinning together at a charity function. There was no description or tags, just the picture itself. Thousands of wonderful and loving comments and more than 500,000 likes have been left by fans, who have said things like, "This is how grown women move and real recognize real." Then the network reacted. VH1 released a mid-season teaser, and they used the voice note clip without holding back on drama. They teased a confrontation between Kirk and Scrappy by showing the sit-downs, and the way they edited it made it seem like it was obvious that this was war, not just drama, and the numbers were astronomical. According to reports, executives informed producers that it was one of the most viewed episodes in 2 years. However, the harm was still being done behind the scenes, as Vindy began turning down invites to certain cast activities and Candy refused to film anything that demanded that she sit next to Rashida and Erica. She established clear rules with producers: no phony rivalries, setups, or shade sequences. She wasn't simply a cast member anymore. She was a popular favorite with a redemption story that viewers could relate to, so they agreed. "If you want me in this season, I control how I show up." Kirk was frantically attempting to make things right by speaking privately with Scrappy and Jock in an attempt to reintegrate them, but rumors circulated that Jock had informed a PA that comment, "You already know," it made its way online, made him worry about everyone except the lady who destroyed his whole home. Rita also began to distance herself from the filming, began arriving late and seeming worn out, as if the consequences of the disaster she made were now getting to her. Even worse, Kirk never publicly defended her, not once, not at the start of the rumor, not after the videos were widely shared. When Erica's interview came around, no, and that quiet, fans took note. Mendez and Yandi were seen leaving the studio one evening. After a tough day of shooting, collectively, he was asked whether he thought justice had been done. He just responded, "Nah, but I stood on truth and that's enough for me," without grinning or speaking strong. And the bit that stayed was that this is because, in the end, the drama that fans recalled was not the deception, the rumors, or the exposure rate. The manner in which Mendez dealt with it, Yandi's ability to keep her crown intact, the dignity with which Erica left the room despite the fact that her name was being exploited as a prop, the brand of Rashida would endure. She would change her brand, she did it every time. However, the quiet credibility and respect she had earned over the years crumbled. The supporters, on the other hand, will never forget. Since this was more than simply a phony pregnancy rumor, betrayal, ego, desperation, and the type of karma that doesn't knock were all part of it. The door is kicked off its hinges. Now that the masks are off, the truth is out, and the damage is irreparable. What comes next? After entangling 3 individuals in a falsehood that has actual repercussions, would Rashida ever be able to restore her reputation? Will Kirk take responsibility for his own home at last? Or will he continue to remain silent as his wife bears the brunt of criticism? What about Erica and Yandi from Mondesi? Did they just survive this battle, or did they win it? This drama was unique not because it was loud, but rather because it was intimate and depicted what occurs when the manipulation of reputations distorts loyalty. Additionally, when the reality is most unexpected item to appear on video, and now that the fans have seen the voice notes, the receipts, with the ensuing quiet, there is no more acting. However, we're curious about your thoughts. Do you think the rumor was really made by Rashida in order to rescue Kirk? Or was it really a careless incident that went out of control? Was Mondesi correct to approach things in a straightforward and calm manner? Or ought he to have exerted himself more? And is Erica at last, after being pulled through years of television drama, is she now receiving the recognition she deserves? Leave a comment below with your opinions. Tell where you are. You were shaken by this experience. Press the like button. Do you choose loyalty and truth above lies while writing? Partnerships. To ensure you don't miss anything, hit subscribe and activate your alerts. What's next? Because if this was the aftermath in Chile, simply wait for the reunion.